Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because we're going to dive headfirst into something we all experience but rarely stop to actually think about: the psychology behind how we consume information. We live in a world where news is just blasted at us from every possible direction 24/7, right? But what is the actual anatomy of the news you're scrolling through? Today, we're going to unpack the unseen forces driving our feeds, that intense, relentless need for speed, the heavy weight of tragedy, and, believe it or not, the comforting anchor of tradition. So let's just get right into it.
Okay, look at this quote right here. It is better to be second and right than first and wrong. It sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Kind of a no-brainer. But here's the thing. In modern media, this is the ultimate tension. We live in a hyper-connected world where the algorithms literally reward whoever pushes a story out the absolute fastest. That fundamental principle of being right is constantly under attack. This race to be first is totally overpowering the obligation to be accurate, and honestly, as we'll see today, that tension shapes absolutely everything we see, read, and hear.
So imagine we're all standing at this giant societal crossroads. A major event happens, and boom, a notification pings on your phone. Which path do you think we usually take as a society? Do we collectively take a deep breath, wait for verification, and stroll down that nice sunny path to the right toward second and right? Or do we just barrel down that stormy, precarious path on the left toward first and wrong because we're just so desperate for the immediate scoop? The pressure to veer left is honestly immense.
Let's break down exactly what's at stake here. On one side, you've got first and wrong. This is where speed is literally the only thing that matters. And the risk? Well, it's not just a minor typo. We're talking about catastrophic errors that can misinform millions of people in a matter of seconds. Then, on the flip side, we have second and right. And this takes patience. It means doing the hard work of verifying facts and firmly establishing the truth before shouting it from the rooftops. It's a classic trade-off, but the consequences of getting it wrong are actually spilling over from our digital screens right into our physical reality.
And here is exactly where we see that real-world crisis play out. Take a look at this recent landmark situation with the Supreme Court of India. What happened was, some lower courts tried to prioritize speed and convenience by using artificial intelligence to look up legal case laws. Sounds incredibly efficient, right? Well, actually, scratch that. It was a disaster. The AI completely fabricated the cases. It literally hallucinated legal precedents that simply did not exist. The technology prioritized giving a fast answer over giving an accurate one. It wanted to be first. This wasn't just some funny tech glitch. It was a fundamental breakdown of truth in a system where truth is everything.
Let's look at the specifics here, because this is wild. The National Company Law Tribunal, the NCLT, actually relied on these fake AI case laws in their rulings. The Supreme Court had to step in and entirely throw out those invalid orders. And Justice Suryakant issued a very severe warning about this. He called it a direct threat to the administration of justice and a literally catastrophic subversion of the rule of law. The court made it crystal clear: technology and speed absolutely cannot replace human judicial wisdom. Blindly trusting unverified tools, it just destroys trust in the entire justice system. It's a pretty chilling reminder of what happens when first and wrong infiltrate spaces where accuracy is absolutely non-negotiable.
Now, we need to shift gears and pick up the pace a bit, because the real world doesn't wait, and the sheer urgency of the news cycle is so often driven by real tragedy. Take the devastating forces of nature. Recently, a severe wave of extreme weather just battered the United States. Out west, we saw these incredibly fast-moving wildfires along the Colorado-Utah border. It was so severe that 3 firefighters tragically lost their lives battling the blaze. And at the exact same time, torrential downpours were triggering catastrophic, deadly flash floods across parts of Kentucky. When things like this happen, the news has to break instantly. Lives are literally on the line. Speed is absolutely necessary for survival here, but man, it carries an incredibly heavy burden.
And that heavy burden takes us to another corner of the globe, dealing with another devastating natural disaster. Following a series of massive earthquakes in Venezuela, entire landscapes were just completely leveled. Search and rescue operations went into overdrive, and we saw massive international aid efforts mobilized to help the survivors. In moments like this, the information cycle is just flooded with chaotic, rapid-fire updates. Every single second counts for those rescue teams on the ground, and the rest of the world is just watching in real time as the true devastating scale of the event slowly comes into focus.
The death toll from those earthquakes in Venezuela crossed 1,400 people. I want us to take a brief moment of silence right here, just to let the sheer gravity of that number really sink in.
Thank you. That really illustrates a tough reality about the media we consume. Look at this quote.
Breaking news is usually bad news. If it were good news, it would just be news. I want you to really think about that for a second. Why is it that urgency in our feeds is almost always inextricably linked to tragedy? Those red banners, the jarring push notifications, the breaking news alerts, they're basically hardwired to signal danger or disaster or loss. It conditions us to feel this sudden spike of adrenaline and anxiety every single time our screen lights up.
Okay, let's all take a deep breath. We're going to use this next part as a bit of an emotional palate cleanser. Picture this, a pristine, perfectly manicured grass court in London. We are shifting entirely away from the unpredictable chaos of breaking news to something completely different. Wimbledon 2026. This prestigious Grand Slam tournament kicking off at the All England Club is basically the exact opposite of a breaking news emergency. It represents tradition, elegance, and just pure excellence. Tennis fans all over the world tune in, not because they're anxious or scared, but out of a shared appreciation for human skill and global community.
Let's just look at how structured this is. On June 28th, global anticipation peaks. On June 29th, the tournament officially begins, and on July 12th, it's scheduled to wrap up. This timeline, it represents the comforting predictability of tradition. There are no sudden shocks here, no urgent red banners flashing on your TV. It's planned, it's orderly, and we know exactly how the schedule is going to unfold. And honestly, this provides such a stark, necessary contrast to the chaos of the daily news cycle. It proves that even though our attention gets hijacked by sudden tragedies, we still deeply crave the structured, the beautiful, and the predictable.
As we start to wrap up this explainer, I think this serves as a really beautiful reminder to find moments of gratitude. The daily news cycle can honestly feel like an overwhelming avalanche of noise. It constantly demands that we prioritize speed over accuracy, and it bombards us with heavy events. But remember, we have agency here. We can choose to take a step back. We can choose to be second and right. We can actively seek out those quiet traditions that anchor us and find things to be truly grateful and thankful for, even when the world feels turbulent.
So I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. The very next time your phone buzzes or the next time a red breaking news alert flashes across your screen, I want you to just pause. Ask yourself, what is my very first emotional reaction? Are you feeling informed or are you just feeling anxious? Are you rushing to be the first one to know or are you willing to wait to be absolutely sure it's the truth? Reevaluating our relationship with the information we consume is really the first step to understanding the modern world. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll see you next time.